I want to talk to you a little bit about the jobs in terms of office spaces. I've heard you talk about the balance sheet issue, and we know there's close to $1 trillion of office space coming due. You've said a nice little recession is going to bring people back to these office spaces.
Happened today.
Exactly.
IBM said you have to go back to work.
But this is a uniquely U.S. problem, you say.
Well,
now,
we would have a problem in real estate, in every sector of real estate, not just office, because of the 500 basis point increase in rates that was vertical. The fact that one asset class never recovered, people never went back to work in the United States, in the office market has an existential crisis right now. And so, it's a $3 trillion asset class that's probably worth $1.8 trillion. There's $1.2 trillion of losses spread somewhere, and nobody knows exactly where it all is. And Signature Bank was sold, and we bid on it. There were buildings in New York that were $100 million. The guy bought it for $200, the loan was $100, we thought it was worth $30 million. There's a building for sale right now in San Francisco. It was bought for $850 a foot, the loan was $450 a foot, they'll sell it for $250 a foot. I mean, that's 25 cents on the dollar. That would mean we lost 3/4 of the total asset class. Now, this asset class is not just owned by rich people, it's owned by pension plans and other people, small investors. We're not just talking about towers, we're talking about the buildings that surround towns and municipalities. But
what happens to those cities? What happens with
there is a bright
places?
spot. The office situation is a completely U.S. phenomenon. I just was in Munich last week, and rents in Munich are up 15%. The vacancy rate in Munich is 2% for Class A. In Seoul, Korea, it's 1%. In Tokyo, it's 4%. Everyone's back to work except for Americans. We've gone off the deep end. We don't show up for work, we don't apply for jobs, and we don't feel like we have to go back to the office.
Coming due. How do these cities survive this? You're talking about, what happens to these B and C class buildings? They become like...
They're going to rely on the government. The federal government will come in with some credits to help people convert or tear down buildings and turn them into residential, which we desperately need. And the cities are going to have a problem. The big blue cities that are not working, they're not working for... I don't know anyone... I haven't met anybody who thinks what's happening in San Francisco is good. But it's not good. And then retailers leave, and these cities become ghost towns, and we'll go through the Detroit cycle.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher. And I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you're joining the Patreons. If you're not a part of the Patreons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And we know the Biden administration wants to bring in those affordable homes. And those who are part of my patrons know I broke this affordable home plan down for you. And remember, all this immigration is for a reason. And don't forget, we're going to be going through hyper deflation. But the Fed, we know, caused the problem, wait for the reaction, and run in with the solution. And they printed all this money to cause all this inflation so they could raise rates. And they know what would happen to this economy. These small and medium-sized banks are holding this bad paper, and a lot of it is commercial real estate. I don't care where you stay at. I told you where I'm at. Commercial real estate is ghost towns. And we know the Fed knows where this bad paper is. This time, they blame crypto for SVB. And we know the NWO are the master magicians. But guys, don't forget we're in a fragmented world. They have to break it all up in order to bring in the fourth industrial revolution. They'll bring in these affordable homes. We have all these immigrants. Start the 15-minute cities. They'll be able to do the digital ID. We don't know who all these people are. Give them a digital ID. Airdrop them free money. Bitcoin and crypto is ready to rock and roll. We have Fed now. We have the drones. We have the robots, the driverless cars. Only thing they need is that one crisis to start bringing in all this technology. 3 to 5 years, and then we land in the fourth industrial revolution, where the robots, algorithms, and drones take the economy over, pay each other with crypto, and the sheep go inside the metaverse. And that's the reason why we're hearing the drums are beating. They need that big enough distraction. And remember, guys, we're going to have distraction after distraction after distraction. So therefore, the NWO can build. And unfortunately, guys, America to Babylon, as we see right in front of our face, is definitely falling, along with the world reserve currency. And we're seeing the rise of the emerging markets, the BRICS nations. We know they're getting off the dollar and going to digital currency. So we know it's going to be the rise of the digital yuan backed by that digital SDR and China's Belt and Road. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Defense official confirms to NBC News that the U.S. military has begun strikes on targets in Iraq and Syria. We don't have any information as of right now as to which targets are being hit and how many strikes we're talking about here, but these attacks are now in response to the attack that we saw on Monday, in which 3 U.S. service members were killed at a U.S. airbase in Jordan. Now, the U.S. has talked about engaging in retaliatory strikes all week. We now see that those strikes have begun, and it comes, Morgan, on a day in which President Biden oversaw the dignified transfer of the bodies of those 3 U.S. service members at Dover Air Force Base here in the United States. A very mournful scene with the President of the United States greeting those bodies as they arrive back on U.S. soil today at a time when the President must have known that he was imminently going to begin these strikes that we can now report, according to a U.S. defense official, that strikes have begun in Iraq and in Syria, Morgan.
Well, this is a significant escalation from the very cautious and off and on retaliatory strikes that we have seen, just a handful in response to 160 attacks on U.S. personnel and U.S. ships by Iranian surrogates since October. So we have to see how Iran and surrogates will respond. But the fact that we have done this in such great numbers with such a variety of aircraft and ordnance, and that these may continue for days, is an indication that President Biden wanted to really deter these people from launching more attacks on American interests.
Yes, they have declared a red line against any targets inside their borders. Well, they crossed an American red line by killing Americans. And until we cross one of their red lines, they will not view this as a serious problem. I'm not saying this first attack has to be regime threatening. There are lots of targets inside Iran, Quds Force bases, air defense systems, and others that would be a good thing to destroy and which would send the message. If the Iranian government doesn't get it, we can send more messages.
And why does the U.S. still have such a large presence there in the first place? We should also note the timing. These strikes were launched less than 2 hours after President Biden welcomed home the remains of 3 American soldiers at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. In a statement released just last hour, the president said the United States does not seek conflict in the Middle East or anywhere else in the world. But let all those who might seek to do us harm know this: if you harm an American, we will respond.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leverage to technology, and I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust. And we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting it more right now with Bloomberg's Sonali Basak. Sonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a Treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence. And
so, teacher, and the new World Order book, plus the 3 kids books, is time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, BitChute, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know, I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York. From COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.